Dre all day.
Now tuned in to the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there even when the success you've expected to achieve is yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. That's the go-getter energy that moves anyone out there, me, you, everybody else, to go make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. We put all this together into one bundle, one mindset, one method, one philosophy, one package, one book, one show. And it is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. Today's topic is the scarcity mindset that is holding you back. Now, I have talked about scarcity thinking. I've talked about abundance thinking in different episodes, different master classes that I've done here on Work on Your Game. And as just as a side note, before I even explain more why we're talking about this topic here, understand that anything that I mention here on the show, aside from the actual main topic, sometimes I'll say something and you may think to yourself, or some people have even written in and asked me directly, hey, you mentioned this thing in this episode. Do you have an episode where you talked about this particular mindset or this thought or this theory or this phrase that you used or this thing that you talked about here? Have you ever talked about that deeper, or even something that I've written? Those of you who are not on my email list, go to workonmygame.com, get on the list. It's absolutely free. You get new gems, mental gems from me that apply to business, sports, and life every single day directly to your inbox, and it costs you absolutely nothing but an investment of time for you to work on your game mentally. But anyway, when people ask me stuff like that and they say, hey, do you have an episode on this? Have you talked about that? Have you done a podcast on this? The answer is, and it always is and always will be, yes. Understand, look at the number episode that you're listening to right now. All right, there are more than 1,000 of these where I've talked about different subjects. Everyone is different, and you have access to all of those. If you do not have access, right, let me back up. If you do not have access to all of the episodes I've ever put out of Work on Your Game, that is because you are not a member of the game group. And if you are not a member of the game group, that must mean that you are somehow allergic to, or you have some aversion to succeeding. Because here's the reason why. Because I'm even giving you a free 14-day trial to the game group membership. I'm giving you 2 weeks completely free to experience the game group membership so you see exactly what it's like. And once you get in, you're not going to want to leave. It's just like they say, once you get in, you can't get out. All right? It's like the firm. But in the game group, you could get out, but you're not going to want to get out. And I'm giving you 2 weeks free so you can experience it for yourself. So if you're listening to this right now and you like to hear the entire class instead of just point number one, if those of you who don't know, I usually go at least 3 points. I go at least 3 points deep in every single class here. Usually, sometimes I'll even go 4 or 5 and even 8, 10, and 12 points. But if you're only hearing point number one every single day here on the show, that means you are not a member of the game group. So what the hell are you doing? Get the free 2-week trial. The link is right down below wherever you're listening to this. If you just scroll down, the link is right there. It's workonmygame.com/game group. You've heard me talk about it over and over again. Start your free 2-week trial and stop maiming yourself. Stop strangling yourself. Stop cutting off your own path to success by not being a member of the game group. Now that we got that out the way, the topic again is a scarcity mindset that is holding you back. So whatever scarcity is in your mind is holding you back from joining the game group, you need to get over it. And today I'm going to tell you how. But the problem is you won't get the full experience of what I'm going to talk about even today if you're not a member of the game group, because you're not going to get the entire class. So you understand how all of this connects to each other? How many times have you heard me say that? Now, anyway, I'm talking about this subject because just recently, well, by the time you hear this, it'll have been, I don't know, maybe a couple weeks, a month, whatever ago. I was on Facebook, a place that I'm usually not at. So any of you who's on Facebook looking to connect with me, you probably should try to hit me through Instagram or email or even Twitter. I don't use Facebook that often. I do check it every now and then to see what's going on, but I don't use Facebook that much. If I'm using Facebook, it's specifically for business. It's not somewhere that I do a whole lot of interacting and back and forth. And this situation I'm about to explain to you reinforced to me exactly why I don't use Facebook that much. But I went into this Facebook group, a private Facebook group that was specifically made for people who owned a certain type of business software. And I had this software and I was looking for somebody to do some work for me using this software. So I posted this job listing, right? And a bunch of people who are in that group obviously were, I guess we call them freelancers, and they were looking for jobs. They were looking to be hired by somebody like me, specifically for the kind of work that I was hiring for. But a bunch of these people, they, for whatever reason, I know the reasons, but I'm not going to get into too many details about this. They felt like they didn't like my job listing because they felt like I was asking them to do work that they really didn't want to do. Basically, I was telling people, if you want to get hired for this job, I'm going to have you do a certain test. I'm going to provide you the information for the test, and you're going to have to do that. And that's the way I'm going to decide who I'm going to hire for this job. But there were a bunch of freelancers who saw my posting, and the way that I see it is that they saw themselves as a little bit too good to have to do what I was requiring in order to make my hire. So in other words, I was saying, if you want to get hired for this job, you're going to have to do A, B, and C. But there were some freelancers who saw my posting and said, well, Dre, look, it's cool that you're posting a job, but I have done A, B, and C already for 1,000 other people. So why don't I just show you my portfolio of what I've done for other people, and you can just gauge my work based on that? Or, what was it somebody else said? Somebody said, well, normally when people hire, they do it this way instead of the way that you're proposing. And I have no idea why this person told me that, was that supposed to persuade me? Was that a persuasive argument that I should do what everyone else normally does? That's really the worst way to persuade anybody to do anything. Well, actually, no, that's incorrect. That's the worst way to persuade me to do anything. And then another person says something like, they were saying, oh, well, if you have enough people who apply for the job and they all do the test that you're saying, you could just have different people do different types of tests, and you could just take all their work and use it without paying for it. And I'm like, really, bitch, that's really what you thought of, that I'm really going to try to hack you and steal the work from you? And I even said this to her in the group, and it was just baffling to me that there are people who are still out there thinking like this. And it was poetic. It poetically made sense that all these people are gathered about in a Facebook group, and that's a different conversation for a different day. But it led me to talking about what I'm talking about right here today, that these people, and this is the point, they felt like the job that I was offering, they were too good to have to go through the process that I was saying you have to go through to get this job. And then they started, and that's fine. Listen, me personally, as a coach, a consultant, a professional speaker, a trainer, any of the things that I do where I could make myself available for hire, I often see that somebody is saying, hey, we're looking for a speaker for this event right here. And I look at it and say, you know what, I could deliver really well to the audience that they're looking for. But then they say, well, this is how we're going to choose our speaker. You got to do this and this, and this is what we're giving in exchange. And I look at it and I say, you know what, that's not for me, because they don't have the money that I want. I don't like the process that they have, or it's something about it that makes me say this job or this offer or this proposal just doesn't fit where I think I am. I think I'm a little bit above this. And I think that to myself. Here's what happens. I think it to myself, and then I move on and I say, okay, that's not for me. Let me go move on and find one that is for me. But instead, these Facebook users, what they did instead, they started trying to debate me, and they were coming in the comment section. And any of you who uses Facebook, you know how it goes. One person jumps in and they say something, then another person jumps in to support it, then another person jumps in to support it. So within about 15 minutes of my posting, one great thing about Facebook, I guess you could say, is that when people are upset about something, they are very quick on the trigger when it comes to saying what they need to say. Within 15 minutes, there were like 10 comments deep, and I'm going back and forth with a couple of different people. Actually, I was going back and forth with maybe 2 people, but then there were other people chiming in, and I'm saying what I need to say to these people. And finally, I just updated my posting and let them know, look, if you don't agree with what I'm offering, then just get the fuck out of here and go find something that you do agree with. And at that point, nobody commented anymore. I basically shut the whole thing down with that. And all of this experience led me to talking about what I'm going to talk about here today. I was trying to figure out, as these people were trying to engage me in debate over my job posting. Listen, I'm the employer. I'm the boss. I'm the one who's choosing who I want to hire. And you're telling me how I'm supposed to be doing it. You're telling me what process I should be following to hire you. Like, first of all, do you think that's going to get you hired? And second of all, why the fuck do I care what you think of my process? If you're not interested in the job, then you're just not interested. Why are you talking to me? And these are all things that were going through my mind, was led me to writing out the notes for what we're going to be talking about here, which tells me, all of this told me, because these people, as they're trying to debate me about this job and telling me that the way that I was, the process that I was following, or process that I was proposing to hire people, and I got more applications than I even wanted to be having, despite the fact that all these people told me that I was, quote, wrong, close quote, with the way that I was going about it. They felt like they were above it, but they were still talking to me about why they were above it, or why I wasn't doing it right, or why they felt like there maybe had been something disingenuous about the way that I was posting my job. And I said to one of the people, one of the more adamant people, it was a female, I believe it was a female, at least that's what her profile looked like, who was trying to tell me how I was wrong with doing this. I finally said to her, well, look, if you really are better than the job that I'm offering, then shouldn't you be out, like servicing your clients, servicing the people who are hiring you, servicing the people who are paying you, or looking for a job that is actually at the level that you think you are? If you really are above the level of the job that I'm posting, why are you still talking to me, as opposed to minding your business, like I talked about in episode 1288, and going and finding the job that you actually want? That really told me that maybe you're not as good as you claim to be, because you're still arguing with me about this job, because she was trying to get me to change my mind, because I think she saw an opportunity in my job. She just didn't want to do the work that I was requiring in order to get hired for the job, or to even be considered for the job. That just tells me that maybe you're not as good as you claim to be. If you were, you wouldn't waste a second talking to me, as I'm not your desired client. Doesn't that just make sense? For example, let me give you a more basic example. When I was one of the last years that I was playing pro basketball, I remember I was talking to a guy who I had met along the way in my career. I had met him probably about 2-3 years earlier. He said to me, Dre, there's a job opportunity that you could probably get involved in. It's in such and such country. This is the team. And I told them about you, and they saw you play a little bit, and they're interested in you. They want you to come over. They'll give you a 2-month tryout contract. That's what they do overseas. They'll give you a couple months of a tryout contract. Sometimes they'll give you the full contract. Sometimes they'll give you a couple months tryout, a certain amount of money, to give you a place to stay and some food, et cetera, et cetera. That's what they were offering. And I remember saying back to the guy, and I was looking at the offer that the guy was making, and I was looking at where I was at, and I saw that I didn't have any other offers at that moment. And I said to myself, I don't have any other offers. This is, something is better than nothing. If my only option was to go and play somewhere right now, just to say that I'm playing somewhere. But the offer that they were making was really, really not enough for what I was looking for. I was making way more than that, selling stuff online and building my business, than they were even going to be able to pay me. And eventually I had to turn it away. I had to say, no, I can't do it. And I actually made a 40-minute video back in 2013 talking about overseas basketball, business, and money. If you go look up on YouTube, you can watch that video where I was explaining to people, a lot of whom don't know about the business side of overseas basketball. And it was one of the things that led to me really starting to build what you are experiencing right now, just building my business more, understanding that at some point I couldn't just take any job just to take a job, because I had enough of a resume that I didn't need to do that anymore. There's nothing wrong with the people who do, but I didn't need to do that anymore. And once I saw that job wasn't for me, it was very simple. I sent the email to the guy that I knew, and I said, I can't take this job, but that's the best they can do. And he said, cool. I moved on. They moved on, and everyone lived happily ever after. As a professional speaker to this day, if somebody comes to me and they ask me, hey, we want you to speak at such and such place. There's someone who asked me to speak somewhere in 2020, and it was a international opportunity. And I said to them, well, look, I would love to speak there. It'd be great to travel to this place and go speak. I said, do you all have the bag that is required to book me to come speak there? And they said, well, the way that our thing is set up, the way that we do things, we normally do not compensate our speakers. And I said, well, look, this is what I said to myself. Well, look, maybe if they take care of the travel, let me just have them take care of the travel and the hotel. If they're willing to do that, then we could at least negotiate from that point and see where they're at. They weren't even willing to do that. And I said, well, I ain't doing it. Like, you're asking me to do something that's like a beginner offer in my mind. Now, again, I'm not judging any of you who would take such an opportunity, because you may be in a different place than me. Maybe you're thinking differently from me. Maybe you have different aims and goals than me. But for me, that just wasn't going to work. And I told them such, and they said, okay, well, no, we're going to have to move on. I said, absolutely fine. I didn't even respond to that. When they said that, I'm assuming they moved on. I moved on, and there was no more. I didn't argue with them. I didn't tell them why they were wrong. I didn't build a case for why I was worth X amount of dollars. I didn't tell them that, normally this is what people do, because I understood that this is just not for me. And I also unconsciously understood that turning down this one opportunity, if you even want to call it an opportunity, doesn't mean that I'll never get another opportunity again. If instead of spending my time and energy focusing on the opportunity that I don't want and trying to change it and make it change into what I want it to be, how about I go find an opportunity that's already set up exactly as I want? Because unconsciously, I understand that those out there exist. That's what minding your business means. And if you didn't listen to that episode, it's episode 1288. So make sure you go back and listen to that full episode. And again, if you don't have a full episode, it's because you're not a member of the game group, which you need to get into at workonmygame.com/game group. So let's get into it finally after all this introduction so you understand why we're talking about this. The topic, once again, is the scarcity mindset that is holding you back. And yes, this could be for the freelancers, solopreneurs, and entrepreneurs out there, the business owners out there, but this is for everybody. Scarcity mindset is not just about money. It's not just about getting hired for a job. It's damn sure not just about Facebook. It's not just about basketball either. It is a way of thinking, of looking at the world and thinking to yourself, unconsciously or consciously, that if you miss out on this right here where you are, that means there will never be another opportunity ever again. So that you're grabbing at straws, chasing the opportunities that are not even ideal for you, simply because unconsciously you don't think there'll be another one. All right, and that mindset is going to hold you back in life. It's probably been holding, I would say, at least 60% of the people who are listening to my voice right now, it's been holding you back already in life. So I'm going to help expose it to you right now, expose you to you right now, and tell you what to do about it. Point number one. The first way that the scarcity mindset is holding you back is you have this scarcity of opportunity thought process. What exactly does that mean? When you see it in an opportunity, as I explained in the introduction, when you see that an opportunity is clearly not for you, what do? This is a question that I'm asking to the class. When you see an opportunity is clearly not the opportunity for you, I'm not asking you what have you done. I'm asking you what is the ideal response. That's the question I'm asking. What's the ideal response when you see the opportunity is not for you? If you are dating somebody and the first time they show you a sign that they might be a little bit crazy, what do? When you're at a job, or maybe let's say you're running a job, you're offering a job, and the person that you're hiring or just hired, they show you the first sign that there may be something a little bit wrong with them, what do? When you're looking at an opportunity, a business opportunity, and you get the first sign that they don't have the money that you would require, or you just don't like the setup of the job, or whatever they're requiring in order to even consider you, you just aren't up for doing, what do? What is the ideal response? That's what I'm asking. You can think about what you've been doing, and then you can think about the ideal response. The ideal response is one word. All right, it starts with the letter L. The answer is leave. Get the hell out of there. Go find the opportunity that you do want. All right, the first sign that new girlfriend shows you that the bitch might be a little bit crazy, you need to move on. All right, the first sign the dude shows you that he might be a little bit psychotic, all right, you need to move on. All right, the first sign that the new hire shows you, or the new prospective hire shows you that they may have a couple screws loose, you need to end that interview and let them go, or you could politely let it end but don't call them back. All right, you need to know when the opportunity is not right for you, and then you need to walk away. You don't need to argue, you don't need to explain anything, just walk away. Pacino and De Niro have a famous movie scene. I'm going to put in the game group. By the time you listen to this, it's probably already in there in the curated videos section. And what did he say? I believe it was Pacino speaking when he said, when you feel the heat coming, you got to be able to leave in 30 seconds or less, right? As I told you, there was a speaking opportunity that was presented to me as an opportunity. I said, hey, do you have the fee? Do you have the bag that I need in order to be doing this? They said they don't compensate the speakers. They said we don't even take care of travel. It would have been great to go to this place, and it's always fun to speak on stages, knowing that my stuff is great. But the thing is, if I'm going to step on your stage and I'm going to speak and I'm going to deliver to your audience and give you the value that it took me 20 years of experience to build up, you have to pay me. That's the business. That's the business that I'm in. I'm not saying you need to do it that way. That's the way that I do it. So when they said that they weren't going to pay me, you know what happened next? You know what I said back to them? I just told you. That blank, empty space where you didn't hear anything being said, that's what I said back to them. I said nothing. I moved on. I didn't argue with them. I did not build a case for why I'm worth it. I moved on to go find, you know what I went to go look for? The people who will pay me. And why is that? Because that's the business that I'm in. Episode 1273, I talked about knowing what business you're in. If you're in the business of getting paid for your work and somebody says, I have an opportunity for you, but it doesn't pay, all right, that's not your business. So if you're minding your business, then as soon as you hear that, you know that you're in the wrong place and your mind is not on your business. Your mind is on something that's not your business. And if you're a business person, You shouldn't be focused on that. You should immediately know to turn that away. You feel the heat coming, leave in 30 seconds and go find the business that you're in. Don't try to change. Don't try to morph the situation into what you want it to be. Sometimes you just got to walk away and go find the right situation. I am not in the business personally. Again, everything I'm saying here is about me. I don't need to say that. I am not in the business of convincing a $5 person that I'm worth $10. All right, so if I look around and I see that I'm surrounded by a bunch of $5 people, but I'm in the business of getting $10, then it's not my job to preach to the $5 people that they need to come up off of an extra $5 and make it 10. All right, that's a waste of time. That's a waste of energy. Now, while I may be able to convert a few of them, it would be a much more efficient use of my time to go find some $10 people. All right, now I don't have to convert them to anything. I don't have to convince them of anything. All I got to do is show them what I got, and they're going to come up off the $10. Why? Because they're $10 individuals. You don't argue with a $5 person to give you $10. No, you go find a $10 person and say, yo, give me $10. Done. Over. Closed. Finished. Next. This is what smart people do when they are about their business. They know what business they're in, and they're minding their business. Again, episodes 1273 and 1288. If you have not listened to those both at least 5 times each, then you need to go do that. That's your homework. You know what stupid people do? They stay in a place that they know is not for them, and then they try to prove their point. All for what? For what outcome are you trying to prove your point? All right, a $5 individual, you cannot browbeat them or yell at them or shame them into becoming a $10 person. All right, that usually doesn't work. All right, now, and the few times that it does work, all right, that doesn't mean it's going to work every single time. All that does is convince the stupid person they should keep trying to do the same thing. It's kind of like in basketball. Any of you who's a basketball player or a basketball coach, you'll understand this example right here. If there's a player on the other team, not your team, but the other team, who's a bad 3-point shooter, you know that they're not good at making threes. You rather them shoot 3-pointers all game because you know the majority of them, even if they make a couple, they're probably going to miss most of them, right? But if they shoot one early in the game and they make it, you're actually happy. Even though they made the 3-pointer, you're happy. You know why you're happy? Any of you who's a coach, you know exactly why you're happy, because that person who made the three, that person who's not a good 3-pointer, but 3-point shooter, but they made one, you know what they're going to do the rest of the game? They're going to keep shooting them. They're going to keep shooting them because now they got the confidence to believe that they can make them, but they're not going to be making them. So they're actually going to shoot themselves and their team out of the game simply because they got that one little success that told them that maybe they might be good at something that you and everybody else in the gym knows that they're not good at. So do not try to convince a $5 person to become a $10 person, even if and when you succeed. Right, all that's doing is building up false confidence in you in something that's actually not going to happen. Point number 2. Today's topic is a scarcity mindset that is holding you back in life. Scarcity of time. Time is your most valuable asset. If you are not where you want to be in life, here's where you begin. Asking yourself this question: what am I doing with my time? Because life is made up of time. So if you're not where you want to be in life, that means you're not where you want to be with your time. So all you got to do to find out where you are with your time and what you're doing with your time is to write down what you do every minute of every day for a whole week. Every time you switch from one task to another, every time you browse your social media feed, every time you take some time to talk to somebody, every time you go to the bathroom, whenever you're eating lunch, whenever you're actually working, and document for a full day, for 7 straight days, exactly what you're doing with your time. I guarantee that you're going to find out where and why you are not where you want to be. You're going to find out where your time is being wasted. You're going to find out where you're being inefficient. You're going to find out that you're not working as much as you thought you were working. You're going to find out that the work that you're doing is not as progress creating, is not as forward moving as you thought your work was. None of us is at 100% efficiency of our time uses. That's how I can guarantee that this is what you're going to find out. Any one of us, I don't care how disciplined you are, how great you think you're doing, you are not at 100% efficiency of the use of your time. But most of us say what? When we're not where we want to be in life. You ask somebody, why are you not where you want to be? Very rarely are you going to hear somebody say, well, Dre, you know what? I'm not where I want to be because I'm just not using my time efficiently. Very rarely do people say that. Most of the time people say things like, I need more information. I just don't know what to do. I need someone to point me in the right direction. You know, still to this day, I get people who come to my website and they read one of the 30 articles that I've written about playing basketball overseas. And then they say, well, you know, I want to play overseas. I just need somebody to point me in the right direction. I just need more information. And I'm like, motherfucker, didn't you just read the 30 goddamn articles that I've written? What more information do you need? But this is what people say. I need more information. That's the reason why I'm not where I need to be in life. Even though we have Google that has access to every piece of information you could possibly get. Or people say, well, I need more money. I don't have the resources, or I don't know the right people. If you would just use your time differently, if you didn't do anything else, didn't get more information, didn't get more money, didn't meet anybody else, if you just use your time differently, you would suddenly find that you had access to all those resources that you, quote, need, close quote. Where are you wasting time on things that are not taking you where you need to go in life? That's the question that you need to ask yourself. You should write that down and put it on your bathroom mirror so you can look at it all day, every day. Where are you wasting time on things that are not taking you where you need to go? Everyone has heard the old saying, you know, Oprah Winfrey and Bill Gates and Warren Buffett, they all have the same 24 hours every single day that you have, right? You heard that before, right? Here's the guarantee. Oprah and Bill and Warren, all right, they ain't wasting their time the way that you're wasting yours. So the scarcity of time, the fact that you maybe don't have the time that you need or the money or the information or the connections to do what you need to do is because you are wasting your time in ways that are just not efficient. They're not producing any type of results. Understand that you're in a results-based business called life. So if your time is not producing results, no wonder you're not doing business. Point number 3. Today's topic is a scarcity mindset that is holding you back. Here's the dichotomy of scarcity. You must develop the discernment to know the difference between a situation that you should stick around and work on it versus a situation that you should walk away from because it's not for you. Because sometimes there's a situation where, yeah, it's not exactly what you want, but if you stay and worked on it, put some time and effort and energy into it, you could probably make it better and get it to where it needs to be. For example, if you hire an employee, they may not be the perfect employee the first day. They may not have all the skills you need the first day, but if you keep working with them, maybe they had the right attitude and right energy, you keep working with them, they can eventually become the exact person that you need. But there are other times you hire an employee and you're like, all right, this person absolutely, I don't even see them becoming. They're not a diamond in the rough. All right. This is a fucking piece of coal in the rough. All right. Throw that back in the stream where you got it. You must develop the discernment of knowing the difference between the two. Discernment is just simply, you could define it as judgment. It's a skill of personal judgment, knowing whether something is situation A or situation Z. There are times to walk away and there are times to stick around and work on it. I've seen many people err on both sides of this equation. So there is no, if you're hoping that I'm going to give you some black and white, or if this happens and this happens and this happens and do this, or if that happens and that happens and do that, that's not the way that it works. It's a case-by-case basis. And if you have a case and you're hoping that somebody can give you some insight as to which one to do, well, that's when you hire a coach or a consultant, because that's what they get paid to do. Help you sharpen your own personal judgment. Otherwise, you got to figure it out by making mistakes and going through life, which costs you time. So you got to figure out what's more important, the time or the money. You see how all this works? On one side of this equation, as I told you, I've seen people err on both sides of this. You got people who walk away from situations, not because the situation is unfixable, not because that situation is not, malleable enough to be made into what they want it to be. It's because they just don't want to do the work. Because some people are just lazy. I mean, it's just, some people just don't want to do the work. This is the athlete who is ready to quit the team because the coach yelled at them in practice one day. Now, I've gotten plenty of those messages, athletes who are like down in the dumps because the coach yelled at them in the game or yelled at them in practice because after they messed up, but they're like, oh, the coach yelled at me because I missed the layup, so I don't know if I want to keep playing. Well, I mean, you did miss the layup, right? Take your ass back to practice. On the other side of the equation, you got the person who is wasting their resources trying to prove a point that has no tangible rewards. Like the person I told you about in this private Facebook business group. They were trying to prove to me that I was wrong for having the requirements that I wanted for a job that I'm hiring for. I'm like, well, what outcome are you trying to achieve here? All right, you're not going to change my mind. I'm definitely not hiring you. And you're not doing any business right now by talking to me. So what exactly are you trying to get out of this? All right, they didn't have an answer to that. That statement that I actually said to them in the Facebook comment, in the comment thread, led to them not saying anything else. That was the last word of the conversation when I posed that question, because they didn't have an answer to it. There was no answer to it. They were wasting their time. They were making the error of sticking around and trying to change something that just wasn't changing. And I've seen a lot of people do this. They weren't the first, wouldn't be the last, and they probably weren't the only one making that exact mistake at that exact time. I'm sure you may be making that mistake right now in some area of your life. If you're a person, let's say you're some type of freelancer, professional speaker, graphic designer, copywriter, salesperson, and you don't like a job offer that's been made to you, all right, you must have the discernment of knowing, all right, can this job offer be altered to fit what I need, or do I just need to go find a different job offer? All right, don't be stupid. All right, when you know that you're doing the wrong thing, but you keep doing it, that's stupidity. Now, if you're doing the wrong thing and you don't know is the wrong thing, we call that ignorance. Ignorance means not to know. Stupidity means you know, but you do the wrong thing anyway. All right, you need to know the difference between the two. And guess what? I got a whole episode, a whole masterclass on that exact topic. Ignorance versus stupidity, knowing the difference. It is in the game group. Discernment is a skill, folks. It is a very important skill. It's an important skill that tells you when and how to apply which knowledge that you have. Every piece of knowledge that you have in life does not always apply to every situation. You must become smart enough in judgment to know when to use this knowledge and when to ignore that knowledge, when to use this knowledge and when to ignore this knowledge. That's a skill that you must develop through experience. You got to go through things to learn that. Yes, you can read books. Yes, you can listen to podcasts. Yes, you can hire a coach. Yes, you can take an online course. You can do all those things. They'll help sharpen it, but you really develop your best discernment through actually going through situations where there are real stakes. Many people are full of information, yet they have no intuition, no skill of discernment as to when to use what information they have. They got all the information, but they don't know when to use it, how to use it, where to use it, when to ignore it, how to interpret it. They just have a whole bunch of information, basically like a walking Wikipedia.com, which is only useful when somebody knows what to search for. See, just the website itself ain't worth much because it's just too much information. Knowing what to search for is the key. That's the insight. I did a whole episode on that. I believe it was episode, I can't even tell you what number it was, but if you go in the game group, you can find it yourself. Let's recap today's topic, which is the scarcity mindset that is holding you back. People wasting time, energy, attention, focus, and money on things that are not creating the outcomes that they want, yet they won't leave that situation because they lack the skill of discernment. They lack good judgment of knowing when to try to fix versus when to walk away. Episode 1288, minding your business. What business are you in? First of all, that's episode 1273. If you don't know what business you're in, then you're probably going to make a whole lot of mistakes when it comes to minding your business, was talked about in episode 1288. So listen to both of those and listen to this one again first, then listen to those. Point number one, scarcity of opportunity. When something is clearly not for you, leave. Don't argue. Don't debate. Don't chastise. Don't write a long letter. Don't write a Yelp review. Just leave the situation. Al Pacino said, when you feel the heat coming around the corner, you got to be able to leave the situation in 30 seconds or less. Or it shouldn't even take you that long. Speaking gig came to me and said, hey, we like you to come speak here, or we chosen you to come speak here. I said, do you have a bag? They said, we don't have a bag. I said, then I'm good. I'm not coming. Why? Because that's the business that I'm in. I didn't argue with them. I didn't try to convince them. I didn't try to change their mind. I didn't send them links. I didn't send them links to all my best podcast episodes and YouTube videos, or I'd say, hey, let me have you read a copy of my book so you understand how great I am. I said, this situation is not for me. I felt the heat coming, and in 30 seconds it was over. All right, you must be smart enough to walk away from things and not have a scarcity mindset that says, oh, if I walk away from this, then I'll never find anything else. That's the problem that a whole lot of people have. And guess what? We're going to talk about that one tomorrow. You got to know when to move on to go find the thing that you actually do want, instead of arguing and debating and chastising and complaining and bitching and moaning about the thing that you don't want. All right, what business are you in? Are you in the complaining business, or are you in the results business? Episode 1273, go listen to it. Do not try to convince a $5 person to become a $10 person. All right, once they make clear they're a $5 person, all right, you got a choice. Either you're after $5 people or you're moving on to go find 10. One or the other. All right, dumb people stay and try to prove their point. Point number two, scarcity of time. Time is the most valuable asset you have. Your life is made up of one thing and one thing only. It is time. If you're not where you want to be in life, ask yourself this question. What am I doing with my time? Write down what you do with your time every single day, every minute for a whole week. Document it down to the second. I guarantee you will find that you are not as efficient with your time as you could be. None of us is 100% efficient with our uses of time. So if your life is not 100% where you want to be, start with what you're doing with your time and end with what you're doing with your time. You do not need more information. You don't need more money. You don't need more people. If you just start using your time more wisely and more efficiently, information, money, and people would all of a sudden find their way to you. Why? Because you're using your time more wisely. You've heard the saying that Oprah Winfrey and Bill Gates and Warren Buffett all had the same 24 hours in a day that you have. I guarantee you that they don't waste theirs the way you waste yours. Point number three, dichotomy of scarcity, is that you must know when it makes sense to stick around in a situation, work on it, and make it better, versus when it makes sense to walk away from the situation because obviously it ain't changing and it ain't going to be what you want it to be. But you can make an error on both sides. There are people who walk away too quickly because they don't want to do the work. They're just lazy. Then you got the people who stick around too long because they obviously can't tell that the situation ain't changing from what it is. So this is the skill of discernment, of understanding that you must develop the judgment to know when does it make sense to work on this and when does it make sense to cut bait and just move on to something else. Most people make this error over and over and over again in life, walk away from something that had potential, stick around for something that doesn't have potential, and then before they know it, they don't have too much time left in life and they're wondering what happened to it all. You must develop the skill of discernment, the skill of judgment very quickly in your life. And I did an episode on decision making. I've done several episodes on judgment. Go into the game group membership and look, you will see in all these masterclass categories that I have laid out where these episodes are. Do not make the mistake of wasting your time and using it the wrong way, because life will not allow you a do-over. Work on your game. Dre all day. Hey, this is Dre all day. If you enjoy this mental game stuff that I talk about on video every day, then I put together a simple master class that will give you one key tip for developing what I call the bulletproof mindset. All you need to do is go to workonmygame.com/bulletproof. Is the link right here, and it's down below in the video descriptions. Just click on it, take you right to the page. I'm going to give you that video. It's about 20 minutes long. This masterclass I put together, one key tip for developing a bulletproof mindset. And when you get that special masterclass free video, I'm also going to make you a special offer to get the full bulletproof mindset experience. So just go to that link that you see right here, and I'm going to show you how to develop that bulletproof mindset right now. So if you like this video that you just watched, I'm going to show you how to take it to the highest possible level. You ready for that? Let's do it.